all of my friends who have kids are in hell. I actually don't know anyone who's like happy and has children at this age. I have like a 1-year-old, like 3-year-old, 4 and under, 5 and under. I literally have not met anyone who's happy, anyone who has like light in their eyes, anyone who has slept.
As a general truth that parents are not happy, that's just not true. That whole narrative is a false narrative.
Yeah, when someone makes a claim like this, it's appropriate to say, is that true? She's saying it's true because all the people she knows with kids this age are miserable and have no light in their eyes. So the follow-up question is, at least to reflect on, is, okay, is this true?
Yeah. A follow-up question could be, how many parents do you know? Right? Like, how did you come to this conclusion?
Mm-hmm.
It's anecdotal.
Mm-hmm.
It's none of the parents I know. How many parents do you know? And obviously, any of us is going to give a very tiny amount of parents compared to all the parents out there in the culture.
In the world.
And so you just can't extrapolate some general truth to therefore kids don't make us happy. Kids are hell.
Yeah. I think this is actually important because you can hear a clip like that. I can hear that. And sometimes the first thing we'll do is think, whether we're conscious of it or not, we will ask the question, is that true? And we do that in thinking about, oh, do I know people who are miserable with toddlers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you'll think about, oh yeah, my friend was just in tears the other day because of her 3-year-old. And
who was that?
Or you'll think,
did you name?
Or I will think, oh yeah, those years were tough. Or she talks about the sleeplessness. I immediately go there. Oh yeah, those are very difficult times. And so we'll go anecdotally to ourselves and think, oh yeah, I know a mom who's miserable right now. Mm-hmm. And then we'll just, if we aren't reflective and think about, well, but does my experience reflect reality in the whole world?
Do your thoughts also go to the other side? Anecdotally?
Yes, of course. And you can do that too. I think sometimes we will just hear these things, and one way we just will adopt it is by thinking of one example that we know that validates what they're saying, and then we'll say, oh yeah, that's true. But yes, of course, then you think about, oh my gosh, I thought about age 5 and under is such a fun stage with kids. It is so fun. It's exhausting. But I think about when our kids were those ages, like they say some of the funniest, sweetest things.
Yeah.
And
they're so cuddly. There's just so many good things about it. And I think because I just had a meeting with one of our staffers yesterday over Zoom, and she lives out of state, and she at one point
her new baby.
was holding her 4-month-old. And you could just see the smile on her face. You could see the light in her eyes. And so I just had that meeting. And that's one person that came to mind for me. And so anecdotally, we've got examples that would validate this or invalidate this.
So the question is it true?
Yeah. And when we look at it statistically, what we discover it's just not true. Brad Wilcox is he's the director of the National Marriage Project. He's a professor of sociology at the University of Virginia. He also is a senior fellow at the Institute for Family Studies. He does some of the best work out there on marriage and parenting and kids and families. And they're constantly putting out the data on this kind of stuff. But he actually responded to Chappell Roan to this idea in a tweet, and he was citing the University of Chicago's General Social Survey for 2022, and we have the chart right here in front of us. And it measures women's happiness by marital status and children. And these are women between the ages of 18 and 55. So you've got four columns here, and two of the columns represent married with no children and married with children. And then you've got unmarried women with no children and with children. And what you find is, and you've got not too happy, pretty happy in the middle there, and then very happy at the bottom of the graph in various colors. But what, and we'll link to the study in the show notes. But basically, what he finds is that you've got almost 40% of the married women with children describing themselves as very happy. And when you compare this to the other groups of women, this is significantly higher. It's the married women who have children who describe themselves as the happiest. And it was less than 22% of unmarried women without children, less than 22% of unmarried women without children felt the same, that felt very happy. Unmarried women with children, okay, were the least likely to say they were very happy.
Very unhappy.
No.
You said, okay, say that
unmarried
again.
Women with children
Unmarried
were the least
women.
likely to say they were very happy. Just 16%. I mean, and so, you know, you can look at the stats here, and what you find is that just given the data, married women with children are happier than women without children. And then you've got unmarried women with children who are unhappy, who seem to indicate that they're the least likely to say that they're very happy. So what that indicates is, I think, God's design. It points to the biblical view. This is just, we always talk about it at Maven, is that God is the creator of all reality. And in Scripture, right, is a description of the nature of reality. And so we go to Genesis chapter 1, and we go to the creation of men and women in God's image, and male and female. And then the first command is have families, be fruitful and multiply. This is God's design for humanity. And when we live according to our design, it just results, the byproduct is flourishing and true happiness and joy. And so when you fight against that, you aren't going to experience the kind of flourishing that God intends. Now, so when we have those biblical truths as an anchor for us, and when we truly believe them, and when we know them to be true, then when you hear something like this, it just kind of bounces off. Like as soon as you hear a clip like that, knowing biblical truth, knowing the way that God has designed reality, it's just like, oh yeah, that's not true. I know that's not true. And even if I don't have the data, I know that that's not true.
Yeah.
Because God is a creator of reality. And so, so you got Genesis 1, you got Psalm 127, verses 3-5. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb, a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate. And you just think about the depth of that description right there. It's not children bring happiness. Children are a heritage. A heritage is something deeper than just, pleasurable experiences. They're a heritage, a reward. And when you extrapolate this beyond the age group that she's talking about, right? Chappell Roan talks about kind of kids 5 and under, which there is some challenging stages there. There is a lack of sleep. There are those physical difficulties. But okay, now let's expand that and look at over a lifetime,
Mm.
because your children will always be your children. And so they'll be your children when they're 30 and 40 and 50. And
Mhm.
uh, over that lifetime, looking at it as, you can see why this word is used, a heritage,
Mhm.
a reward, because a lot of what we're doing at the younger stages is sowing and sowing and sowing seeds, right? And then the reaping sometimes comes later, but the reaping, the harvest
Mhm.
of raising children can be so rich, so rewarding.
Yeah, she probably mentioned the younger ages just because her age, her friends are at that stage of parenting. So she's probably
Mhm.
not friends with
Yeah,
many
I think she's
people.
25 years old right
Yeah,
now.
so her friends they don't have teenagers, and I thought too that I wonder if her friends, so the context that she was talking about is these are friends from back home. So these aren't her friends that she's with
In
in
Hollywood.
her Hollywood life. These are her old town friends,
Yeah.
she grew up with. I I wondered if, especially when this clip went viral, if they would say, "Oh yeah, she described me right. I'm miserable."
Hmm.
But I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a great
But
question.
I wonder if that's how they would describe their life and their children. Oh yeah, I regret it because it's just hell and I hate it.
Mm.
So I thought about that, but this deeper joy, which when you describe, your children are a heritage, and of course we're in this stage now with adult kids, and like you said, you do so much gardening, planting seeds when your kids are little, and so
Pulling weeds, let's be clear. There's a lot of pulling weeds.
and so we're at the stage where we do get to reap some of the rewards and see that playing out as, our daughter's graduating high school. So we're doing a lot of reflecting on her growing up
Yeah.
and life and that word heritage and reward. These are the words that I connect with and tether to joy.
Yeah. Well, and you think, I mean, like we have kind of a combination of teens and adult children, but
Mhm.
we're at that stage where our adult children are having kids or at
Mhm.
childbearing years
Yeah.
and having 3 grandkids. There's something so rich and meaningful and deep about that.
Mhm.
That's where this word it's not just personal happiness. It's this heritage
Yes.
of kind of a family line and
Yeah.
uh, kind of the community and the love and across the generations that we're sharing
Mhm.
with our kids now,
Yeah.
and an investment not just in our kids but now in grandkids,
Mhm.
our kids' kids. I mean, this is just so